Where just tell, I'll just kind of read names and you tell us where you're from and what you're up to in like 10 seconds. Robbie Stern.
Yeah, I'm from Washington State and I'm active with Puget Sound Advocates for Retirement Action and Social Security Works Washington.
Awesome. Thanks, Robbie. Barb Harrison, upstate New York.
I'm Barb Harrison. I live in Ithaca, New York, and presently I'm going for a certificate in media literacy.
Good on you, Barb. David Leibowitz, welcome.
Dave Leibowitz, San Mateo, California, working with the Bay Area chapter of PNHP.
Welcome, David. Thank you. David McClanahan.
I am the coordinator of Physicians for a National Health Program, Washington, and we work closely with PSARA, which is doing an amazing job on ACO-REACH fighting privatization.
Thanks, David. Caroline Gorham.
Hi, this is Caroline. I'm in Arlington, Virginia, and I do some volunteering with OPS and also with Medivivor, just about mostly, healthcare access. Thanks.
Great. Thank you for being with us, Caroline. Steve Kemble, Hawaii.
Steve Kemble from Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm a physician. I'm active both with OPS for over a decade, and also I'm the Western representative, or one of them, for the board to PNHP, and I'm the chair of the policy committee for both OPS and PNHP.
Lots of hats, Steve. Thank you. Elaine Branyard.
Elaine Branyard, and I am in Colorado working with Colorado Foundation for Universal Health Care. And we have some resolutions locally happening up here in Fort Collins.
Great. Thanks so much, Elaine. Let's see, Bill Semple. Hey, Bill.
Yeah, Bill Semple, the board chair at Colorado Foundation for Universal Healthcare, working with Elaine. And we're working on a two-stage process, which would be for a legislative process, so that in 2024, we can have implementing legislation for a single publicly funded way to pay for healthcare in Colorado.
Great, Bill. Thanks for your work. Let's see, Dawn Tuvison.
Yeah, I'm.
Hi.
Oops.
Oh.
Dawn and Don.
You probably heard Dawn. I'm sorry. Dawn. DAWN. Dawn.
Okay. I'm from Woodbury, Minnesota, and I'm with Health all of a sudden my mind just went blank. HCAM.
Healthcare for All Minnesota.
Healthcare for All Minnesota. Gosh. And then we're working on a state health plan here in Minnesota, as well as everything else. Thank you.
Great. Welcome. Thanks for coming, Dawn. Rich, last pronunciation? Legue.
Yeah, I'm in Seattle. I'm part of Healthcare for All Washington.
Great. Thanks for being with us, Rich. Jan Jones.
Retired RN, Healthcare for All Minnesota, also worked really hard to get a good result this last election cycle. We have some somewhat optimistic that we're on a better path.
Great. Thanks, Ann, for your work. Ronnie, sure.
I'm Ronnie Shore, president of Healthcare for All Washington, but also a member of PSARA and Physicians for a National Health Program Washington.
Great, Ronnie. Thank you for your work. Barbara Pearson. Hey, Barbara.
Yes, Barbara Pearson from Amherst, Mass. I'm in OPS, and actually, and League of Women Voters. And big thing this month is big thing this year is that I joined the Poor People's Campaign, because they have healthcare as one of their 5 interlocking evils. Lack of healthcare, and and I also wanted to mention that if everybody would do us a favor and go when you come back to the website, there's a new donate and volunteers. They're separated, and the volunteer thing works. So even if you don't want to give us any money right now, you can just volunteer, and I I can capture your names and what you are interested in doing. Okay, thank you.
Terrific. Thanks, Barbara. Yeah, Mike, if you can just sort of periodically drop our link in the chat for folks, that'd be great. I can do it the first time now if it works. Let's see. Let's keep going across the room here. See, after Barbara, we have Don McCann, not to be confused with Dawn McCann.
Yeah. Former national president of PNHP and been many things in between, but right now I'm a contributor to the Health Justice Monitor. So
Welcome. Terrific, Don. Thank you for your work. Let's see, Jean Hopkins, Vermont.
Hi, yes, I'm with the League of Women Voters in Vermont and retired from being a librarian. I was a medical librarian for a while and then had to leave to take care of family members and became a home health care provider. And now I'm focusing on League of Women Voters and will for getting health care. Watched a wonderful program yesterday that Harriet Sealer of Kentucky produced, and really the doctor who was presenting it presented the ACO-REACH very well. And so I said, okay, and here in Vermont, we're trying to get maybe universal primary care.
Okay, terrific. And for all people, be sure to drop resource links into the chat, information you want to share that's relevant to our work. Sherry Lambert.
Yes, hi, I'm Sherry Lambert from Washington State and the League of Women Voters and pushing for healthcare for all.
Great.
And I'm a retired X-ray tech and have seen the problems throughout the years in the healthcare field.
Terrific, Sherry. Thanks for being with us. Consuela, greetings. Unmute.
Yes. Hi, Consuelo Echeverria, Healthcare for All Washington. We are working away, pushing the Universal Healthcare Commission to move forward on their mission.
Terrific. Thanks, Consuela. Tom Gottlieb. Hey, Tom.
Yes, Tom Gottlieb, Colorado. I've been working with Denver University and the senior education program and sort of morphing from that into an organization called Secular Hub. We're looking for engagement with younger individuals, and we just couldn't find that with the senior education program. Imagine that. And we're quite successful in starting to build a group of individuals in the high school towards a college group, and trying to figure out how to get them more involved in our political economic system.
Terrific, terrific. And for folks who are doing that kind of outreach work, feel free to join our outreach work group. We make a point of bringing together best practices and learning from one another and so forth. So we do have a plenty of, I should say, work groups for folks to join if you're interested. Betsy. Hey, Betsy, long time.
Hello, I'm Betsy Zucker. I'm in Portland, Oregon. I'm the chair of the Portland Jobs with Justice Healthcare Committee, and I'm also involved with a nurses group for single payer, and I'm a retired nurse practitioner. Coming up, we're planning an event with Suzanne Gordon around connections between healthcare and veterans, as well as a workshop with Labor Campaign for Single Payer, how to bring Medicare for all into the workplace in January.
Okay, terrific. If you have a link for that, Betsy, just drop it in the chat. And again, for folks who came into the call later, if you could rename yourself just to let us know what state you're from and your personal pronouns, if you wouldn't mind. Paul Warwick. Hey, Paul, who's our lead on politics, which we'll be learning about continually. Right, Paul? Whoop.
Yeah.
Paul? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I hope I'm unmuted. I'm with One Payer States, of course. I'm also Secretary Treasurer for Michigan for single payer healthcare. I'm also a secretary, or not, a treasurer for the local league of women voters in Eastern Upper Peninsula.
Again, for your work, California. Hey, Lynn, just say hello. You're muted.
Right. Hi, my name's Lynn, retired, politically active, retired nurse, working on single payer here in California for the last 20 plus years. We are hoping to reintroduce our bill from last year, AB 1400, next February.
Great. Thanks so much. I'm not sure, a couple more folks came on. I'm not keeping track of everybody here, but Mike, you want to just say, hey, Mike Huntington?
I'm Mike Huntington here in Corvallis, Oregon, treasurer for Oregon PNHP, secretary for One Pair States. And Tom can tell you what, Tom Sinsick can tell you what we've been doing in Oregon.
Is Tom here? Tom?
He was.
I'm here. I'm here.
Go ahead. Yeah, Tom.
Oh, thanks. Oh, Mike Huntington's been traveling. I couldn't, it was interesting. Mike, didn't hear from Mike for a long time, but Mike does everything. So I don't know if I can describe Mike. Mike is part of Mid-Valley Healthcare Advocates, we partner with as Healthcare for All Oregon. My name is Tom Sinsick. I'm president of HCAO. Glad to have Betsy mention the labor, bringing labor into the workplace, into the single payer movement that we're hosting. And Betsy's got better details on it than me. But what we're doing here in Oregon is, as you may know, we now have access to healthcare as a fundamental right in our Constitution, first in the nation, and we're taking on the assault of many. Amazon, an interesting merger that been proposed, another merger with our something called Care Oregon. We're fighting off US of Care and Osberg with a public option push in the state. Yeah. We are being surrounded. They know that, I guess we've got their attention, and we're working on trying to do that breakthrough, which is create a universal healthcare plan in Oregon. We have a pathway forward, and we're not going to be stopped. But it's good to hear that you are going to focus on the ACO-REACH, very important thing to stop as well.
Terrific. Thanks for being with us, Tom. And for the last couple of folks I called, just if you could just say who you are, where you're from, maybe your association, just keep it real short. Edie Miller, Edie, you with us? And then who else did I see?
Hi, I'm Sue Langens from Olympia, Washington, and we're gathering signatures again for whole Washington. I think that after shelter and food, healthcare is the most important thing, along with education and transportation. And it is just unbelievable. Our country is so backward when every other country knows how important healthcare is. And they can't even imagine how people are just getting sick over their bills. So yeah, I'm pretty passionate about healthcare, but I'm not, I'm just kind of.
Thanks for being with us. Real quick, Kurt Bateman. Kurt, just want to say hello. And Kay Tillo, just say hello.
Hello, everyone. Glad you're all still doing this. I'm glad I'm sorry I've been missing in action, but I'm hoping to get more involved. Thanks.
Mary Alice Bisbee from Vermont, League of Women Voters, Physicians for National Health Program, and Vermont Healthcare for All.
Terrific. Thanks so much, Mary Alice. Elizabeth, is it Bjerke?
Sure. I'm Elizabeth Bjerke from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I've just been.
Uh-oh, you went blank. You went mute. We're thrilled to have you, Elizabeth.
Sorry. Okay, Elizabeth from Pittsburgh.
Okay. Terrific. Anybody I missed? Anybody I missed? Just to say hello.
Dave Garibaldi.
Kay Tillo. Hey, Kay.
Hi, Kentuckians for Single Payer Healthcare and Unions for Single Payer.
Awesome. Thanks for your work, Kay. Appreciate you being here and part of our strategy group, of which Jeff and Rob, you're sort of the points. We asked Jeff Johnson to come in with us today
Yeah,
to give some background.
Dave Garibaldi.
I'm sorry, Dave.
I'm Dave Garibaldi with Healthcare for All Minnesota, and I'm particularly focused on municipal resolutions. And we just passed one on Monday night in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, and that is our 6th municipal resolution in favor of single-payer healthcare. Thank you.
Great work, Dave. So Jeff, you've gotten just a little flavor of who all's with us. We just next did our brief.
Well, you're breaking up on us, Chuck.
Real quick, am I, Mike? I guess, where can I find a better place for communicating? Is this?
Yeah, come on in here, Chuck, and I'll mute myself.
Okay, I'm going to try to do this while I'm walking. If it works, hopefully I'm going to knock out. Just wanted to share with folks, it's been an exciting year. We've gotten a lot done. And we had 2 in-person, we had 3 conferences. One was hybrid, and then we did 2 more conferences on intergenerational organizing, an effort to build out power. Oh, I'm echoing, Mike. I'm echoing. Sorry. Okay. Mike and I are in the same house. I've moved here to Corvallis. We're just coming off a trip to Cuba, so our heads are a little foggy. At least mine is. But just to say that it's been an exciting year, and we're looking forward to this coming year and the opportunities that await us. We beat back DCEs, but now we got ACO-REACH on the horizon, and we again bringing Jeff Johnson into the conversation, who's been thinking long and hard with the PSARA group, which is Puget Sound Alliance for Retired Advocates, right?
No.
Is that right?
No, but that's okay. Puget Sound Advocates for Retirement Action.
Oh, Advocates for Retirement Action. My bad. Thanks, Robbie. We'll get it eventually. And drop any links again in the chat, and rename yourselves if you would, please, just so that folks are aware of who all's in the room. A lot of folks who are not with us all the time. I'm going to do a very, very quick share screen here, if I can, and just remind folks of what One Pair States is. For a lot of you, we're new to you. So I just want to bring up this homepage, and here's our mission statement on the lower left. I hope people can see it. One Pair States fights to win high quality, cost-effective healthcare for all. Working together, we build powerful state, regional, and national solutions, which is to say that One Pair States, we aspire to the gold standard, national single payer, but we work at all levels where opportunity presents itself, and in terms of advancing the ball. Right now, we're in a bit of a defensive posture with Medicare, and we have to figure out how to save Medicare, restore Medicare, and then create a Medicare system for all in this country. And so with that, let me turn it over to Jeff. I do have a very quick, let's see, here's your bio. Let me just pull it up real quick. Jeff Johnson is a former president of the Washington State Council, representing more than 500,000 employees in the state of Washington, formerly the research director of WSLC. Jeff is in his former life was a college professor. He's on the board of the Labor Network for Sustainability, where he focuses on the intersection of labor, climate change, and climate justice, including a just transition. In other words, taking people who are displaced as a result of economic changes that need to be accommodated. So Jeff, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Chuck. It's an honor to be here. What an incredible array of folks and talent you have on the screen here. So look, my name is Jeff. I live on San Juan Island off the coast of Washington State. I'm the co-president of PSARA's C4. Robbie Stern is the president of PSARA's C3. I'm glad Robbie's here to help me with this. So I'm going to try to accomplish as quickly as I can what Chuck asked me to do. PSARA learned about the DCE ACO-REACH program really last February through PNHP, through the work of David McClanahan and others in PNHP, as well as our good friend and Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. most of the leadership in PSARA has, we've been friends with Pramila for a couple decades and helped her in her political career. And of course, now she chairs the Progressive Caucus in Congress. So once alerted to what was happening, PSARA created a pretty aggressive campaign in 2022 to try to terminate the Trump-Biden DCE ACO-REACH pilot program, which begins on January 1 of this coming year, 2023. And it's really for all the marbles. The ACO-REACH program, fully opens the door to full privatization of Medicare. And if we thought the decades-long fight over stopping the privatization of Social Security was a big deal, it's predicted that Medicare annual spending will reach $1.6 trillion a year over the next several years. So this is really the golden goose for corporate America. They want in, they don't want out. So we created a pretty aggressive campaign. We drafted a letter to PSARA and Biden, and to all of our congressional delegations, our senators and our House members. And then we began circulating those resolutions and the letter for sign-on. We did hundreds of presentations, around the state to different organizations. We collected sign-ons from 123 statewide organizations in the state of Washington over the course of about 8 months, over 1,000 community leaders. Just to give you a taste, we got the Washington State Democratic Party to sign on, a number of state Democratic legislative districts. We got the Washington State Labor Council, AFL-CIO, to sign on, and that was in the face of national AFL-CIO opposition to them doing that. We got the Seattle City Council to sign on. We got some of our largest unions in the state, United Food and Commercial Workers 3000. They are the largest food and commercial workers union in the United States. We got the machinists that work at Boeing signed on, the National Organization of Women, Healthcare is a Human Right, lots and lots of healthcare organizations, Healthcare for All, immigrant and human rights organizations, faith-based organizations, on and on. So we're very proud of those organizations. And now our job is to make sure that we can keep working with them as we go forward in a bigger campaign. We were able to convince one other member of our delegation to call for the termination of ACO-REACH, and that was Adam Smith. But others we've not been successful with yet, but they're feeling the pressure. In fact, we've even had staffers call some of our folks to say at an upcoming town hall meeting, please don't push the congressperson too hard, right, on this issue. So we got their attention, and that's good. But I want to say this. What we learned in working, also, I should say, we've had 2, I think, Robbie, conversations with Liz Fowler, and very discouraging and surprising calls, and surprising how much she seemed to not know. But anyway, one of the biggest things we learned during this campaign was that ACO-REACH, while it blows the barn doors open on privatization, in some ways it's the tip of the iceberg, and that in fact privatization is the real villain, and we've been living with it since 1999 in the form of Medicare Advantage and then more recently Medicare shared savings programs. And so it's privatization that is systemic. The fraud and all the upcoding and all of that stuff just goes along with the privatization. So we want to kind of attack it at its roots. But I feel a little bit silly saying this to you all. You're all experts, but the reason why we went after this was that apart from just blasting the doors open to privatization, you know, it puts middle people between doctors and patients and, you know, Medicare beneficiaries, and breaks that trusted relationship, right? It incentivizes making profits in the system. You know, in the DC ACO-REACH program, you know, they you know, on this, you know, capitated pay system, they can keep the first 25% that they don't spend on individuals. And then when they upcode and do other things, they can make even more money. There's automatic enrollment in ACO-REACH. Both Robbie and I have found ourselves in programs we never signed up for. We're in traditional Medicare, but Peace Health, which I am a part of, living on an island and kind of trapped, all of a sudden I'm in an ACO-REACH. Unlimited expansion, you know, CMMI has said publicly and in their conferences that they're looking forward to everyone being in an ACO-REACH by the year 2030. So there is a lot at stake here. You know, Medicare Advantage program, as we, you know, we have a lot of our members that are part of Medicare Advantage programs, and many of them like those programs. And you know, and if you're healthy and you're recently retired, what's not to like, right? You get extra benefits, it's lower premiums, so on and so forth. However, once you get sick, you know, Katie bar the door, because you know, these insurance companies, you know, make their money through delays, through denials, through massive upcoding, and we've seen, you know, a spate of studies now. You know, the New York Times article, I think from October 9 and 10, you know, kind of, you know, hit the country by storm, you know, talking about how in the year 2020, you know, anywhere from, depending on what source you're looking at, $12 billion to $24 billion a year, just in that 1 year, what the Medicare system was defrauded of. So you and I and all taxpayers were defrauded. The Medicare Trust Fund was defrauded, and they didn't get so much as a slap on the hand. You know, this is rapidly draining the Medicare Trust Fund. And oftentimes when congressional folks look at trust funds and dwindling sources, they start thinking, oh, okay, we may have to cut benefits, or we raise taxes, or we do both, you know, all of which will hurt Medicare beneficiaries. You know, and as I mentioned, you know, Medicare Advantage, you know, more and more it's taking up a larger share of the market. I don't know if it's now 50-50 or if Medicare Advantage has more than 50%, but it's damn close and it's growing. And this is very dangerous. And the irony and I'd say immorality of this is that the money for the additional benefits that the MA beneficiaries get comes out of the same Medicare trust fund that we all pay into. And those of us on traditional Medicare don't get those benefits. That's just not right. It's not fair, and it's just not right. But here's the deal. We thought, okay, so, the other thing I should say, in the Washington State campaign, PSARA, along with PNHP locally, you know, we took out ads in all of the major newspapers on the west side of our state twice. And we described what ACO-REACH was. We called on the Biden administration to terminate the program, and said that with a stroke of his pen, he could do that. It was within his authority to do that. And that we needed folks to call into their local congressional delegation to put pressure on the Biden administration to do that. So the first one went out on Labor Day, and the second one went out about mid-October, you know, with enough time where people are thinking politics as the elections were coming up. And you know, it was in the Sunday paper to put a lot of pressure on our folks. So we, but in talking to Congresswoman Jayapal, you know, we had a heart-to-heart with her. We learned about, I think it was originally drafted, or at least in part drafted by PNHP National, kind of a bad actor strategy. And I mean, no disrespect for anyone. There are a lot of PNHP folks on the phone, and I admire you and I respect you and I respect your organization. But there was a tact that they wanted to use that we thought went in the wrong direction. It was a letter that Jayapal and Senator Warren would sign, and perhaps with sign-ons that would go to CMS and excoriate bad actors in the system. And the research that PNHP did was marvelous. I mean, it's incredible stuff, and I'm sure it served as a base for the New York Times article and other pieces that have been written in Lever and other journals and whatnot. But in that original letter, there were at least subtle accolades to ACO-REACH. And thanks for, terminating the DCE program and improvements made and so on and so forth. So from our way of looking at the world, what it did was it at least implicitly said ACO-REACH was okay. The underlying premises of ACO-REACH were okay. And that's just not right. That is wrong. I mean, it's flat out privatization. And, so anyone who, and you all do, but anyone who cares about single payer and doing it through a Medicare for All program, ACO-REACH, once it gets, once it's in, and once it's permanent, if it is, you can kiss Medicare for All goodbye unless it's a corporate Medicare for All. And, so then we're kind of dealing with managed care all over again. And we're not dealing with a public system that you all are fighting for and we're all fighting for. So, so we had a frank discussion with Pramila, and she said, okay, we'll redraft the letter, which they did do. And it's a significantly better letter for those of you who've seen it. It went out on December 8th. It has 21 signatories, 3 senators, Warren, Sanders, and Booker, and then 18 House members, including, of course, Jayapal, and it, again, excoriates bad actors, many of whom are the same bad actors in the Medicare Advantage programs, no surprise there. So that is out there. But for PSARA, what we decided was, look, we've got to dramatically expand this campaign and to go after privatization. That's the foe. Okay, ACO-REACH is a part of it, but Medicare Advantage is a part of it, Medicare Shared Savings. So we're basing our campaign on 7 principles. The first of which is to immediately terminate DCE ACO-REACH program, and until that happens, accept no further participants in it. The second goal is to expose and educate PSARA members, policymakers, the wider public on how Medicare Advantage programs, medical shared savings plans, and other so-called innovative reimbursement plans are destroying Medicare as we know it. The third goal is to allow traditional Medicare to offer the same benefits to beneficiaries as the MA programs offer: dental, vision, hearing, after home care visits, transportation to medical appointments, gym memberships. I mean, it all comes out of the same trust fund. So why shouldn't we do that? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you believe in a market system and fairness in markets, well, then why not? Why shouldn't you do this? So again, you can see we're trying to aim at some of the more conservative, moderate politicians to say, come on, don't contradict yourselves. You think it's good over here. Why isn't it good over here? What is this? I think this is our fourth goal. Allow Medicare beneficiaries to move from Medicare Advantage plans to traditional Medicare during the annual open enrollment period seamlessly. So requiring a guaranteed issue for Medigap policies. We're still debating that piece because we don't like the Medigap policies. We, in a better world, there wouldn't be any Medigap policies. It would be all publicly funded. So we're still struggling with that, but nonetheless, we think that if 4 states do have that ability to do that, but we want to make sure there's no price gouging and no limiting people because of pre-existing conditions. The fifth or sixth, I'm losing count now, fifth goal was to require private insurers and companies to pay back to the Medicare Trust Fund with interest the money they've stolen from us, as well as to make restitution to Medicare beneficiaries to whom they have delayed or denied care to. big chunk, but nonetheless, got to raise that issue. This is a moral issue. This is a financial issue. This is a quality of life issue. The sixth goal is to remove fraudulent actors from the system. No, you get 3 shots at it. They're gone. You steal, you're gone. And then the final and 7th goal was to support Representatives Pocan and Khanna's bill, the Save the Medicare Act, which relabels Medicare Advantage plans for what they are. They're alternative private health plans, and then fine any one of them that mentions Medicare in their advertisements to attract people, because it's not Medicare. And then we started working on, so what's the plan, right? And, we have a monthly newsletter. It's 12 pages long. It goes out to about 1,500 folks. I think during this campaign, it'll probably double in size, because we're going to do one issue each month starting in January, specifically on Medicare, and with a range of topics from, laying out the goals to what was the historic purpose of a traditional Medicare? What were its, how did it open up equity that didn't exist before that? What are its limitations? How could it be expanded, so on and so forth? Give people a sense of why it's so important. Then do a series of articles on the Medicare Advantage plans, how they came about, the myth that created them, the insurance industry that created them, how it's advertised and sold, the organizations that help sell the program and the kickbacks that they get, the fraud that is rampant within those programs, the kind of insidiousness of CMS and CMMI, the revolving door between those organizations and the insurance industry, industries that they go back and forth between. And basically that while they have a lot of authority to clamp down on what's happening, they don't, because they have both a free market ideology and they know where their bread is buttered. And then by about August, go back to ACO-REACH in particular, kind of, piloting towards complete privatization. What we're trying to do is build this educational base of our members, the wider public and public officials to, okay, back to ACO-REACH, here's why it totally, sorry, bad words coming in my head. Anyway, it's totally the wrong thing to do. And then start talking about what can we do better, so what do seniors need? What kind of healthcare do we need? What does equity actually mean? What does community health mean? What does access mean, right? And, to round out those articles. Now that's part of it. What we want to do is create a binder, a primer of these 12 issues. And each month we're going to send them out to, a number, scores of congressional representatives and their staff, the 123 organizations that we are already co-sponsors for us, our national allies, and others, but just basically with cover emails to them so that people know what we're doing and we keep this dialogue going. So we'll send it to all state Democratic parties, and stuff like that. So where I was going with this. Okay, so the article is the one thing. The other thing we want to do is we want to create quarterly webinars, and this is where we need your help. We want the best experts and thinking on what are the best topics that will educate the wider public on these issues. We're thinking about asking Dr. Ed Weisbart to do maybe the first one so that he could do the comparison between traditional Medicare and Medicare Advantage, no holds barred, and really let it fly. And then what we'd really love to see is a real national strategic planning organization committee. This could be, maybe this is part of it, but that, replicates some of the things that we did in Washington, because we're convinced that, while national letters and resolutions are good, I've talked to enough congressional folks to know that they kind of ho-hum them after a while. It's like, oh, we got another thing for move on, big deal, you know, so there are 70,000 signatures kind of thing. And so we know that if folks in their individual states really put pressure on their own congressional delegations and have a hefty set of their own state organizations and community leaders signing on. And by community leader, even though we have the Seattle City Council on there and lots of legislators, everyone is a community leader, right? So, you know, we had farmers, we had grocery workers, we had truck drivers, obviously nurses, doctors, so on and so forth. And so what we did was we listed their names, their occupation or former occupation, right? So we're trying to get across to our congressional delegation, this is everybody. This is the community saying, no, don't do this. But we would love to see. We know a lot of national organizations are coming at this from different angles, and that's great. And it's going to take lots and lots of thoughts and lots of actions and strategies to get this done, to not only terminate ACO-REACH, but to hopefully end the privatization of Medicare, or at least to make traditional Medicare so strong, so full, so rich that we outcompete Medicare Advantage, and, you know, revive the ability when we have a better Congress to get Medicare for all. But we would love to be able to work with other organizations on a national strategy to really drive this home. Because I'll stop with this. So one thing we know, even with our own membership, many, if not most people, don't have deep understanding of Medicare. It's confusing, right? And once they find out what's happening in ACO-REACH and Medicare Advantage, they're angry, they're frustrated, they want to do something. They're you know, the light bulb goes off. And so it really, we figure in these next 2 years in particular, with the Republicans controlling the House, don't expect a whole lot to get done. So it's a perfect time to educate and organize. And the more people tune into these issues, and we have actions for them to take part in, perhaps the quicker we get to terminating ACO-REACH, and the sooner we get to real comprehensive discussions of Medicare for all. I'm going to stop there, but I'm going to ask Robbie if he has stuff to add, because I'm sure I left stuff there.
Yeah, I'm going to be very brief, Jeff. You covered it very comprehensively. What we learned was we ran a pretty, as Jeff said, a pretty fierce campaign against ACO-REACH in Washington, trying to move our congressional delegation. What became clear is we do not win this battle unless it is done across the country. It's just simple as that. We just can't do it. So we're going to have to. When we talked to Pramila said, you know, I cannot get purchase from hardly any representatives in Congress right now on this issue. It's very difficult. And partially that's because the pressure's not coming from a lot of other states on their congressional delegation to stop the privatization of Medicare, to terminate ACO-REACH, and to hold the Medicare Advantage plans accountable. The other thing is that we know there are a lot of our members, a lot of people nationally. There's 610,000 people in Washington state who are on Medicare Advantage. And many of them really like their plan. And they're going to like it until they really need it. And it's when you get seriously ill and they start limiting your access to providers and using prior authorization that people say, holy mackerel, you know, this is not working so well for me now. And we have that going on with my family at this very moment with one of our daughter-in-law's mother. And so it is, and basically their Medicare Advantage is driving people off of Medicare, their plan, and into traditional Medicare, where there's total choice of provider, which is potentially turning traditional Medicare into a high-risk pool, and that is very dangerous. So we need to build a national movement on this, and it has to be done state by state, which is why you all are so valuable, because you are located in individual states that have the ability to organize and organize your members and others We anticipate this year, and we're a small organization, but we anticipate we're going to do a lot of public education on this, including probably another series of ads, which stresses us as an organization financially, but if not now, when? So I guess that's really all I want to say.
Thank you, Robbie.
Terrific. Do you all hear me okay? Is it a clear? Okay, great. Thanks, Jeff, for that excellent presentation, and Robbie for the add-ons thoughts. We do have a couple hands up. I would ask folks, if you have a question or comment, keep it very, very brief so we can get through as many as possible. But do the hands function under reaction at the bottom of your screen, click on reaction, and then click on raise hand. So we can go through some questions and comments. Before doing that, I just want to make sure that we insert action steps here that I'll repeat on the back end. Kay Tillo posted earlier on in the chat how to reach out to Biden, your members of Congress. I think there was a third action step. Kay, if you're in a position to recopy that or post that again in the chat, that's an important set of action steps right there. I did write in the chat that our next strategy meeting is coming up on January 11th, 2023 at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern time. If you or a representative from your state can make that, that's really critically important. We need to build out that strategy working group so we have as many state representatives of the single payer community as possible. So I dropped in the chat my email and Mike Huntington, who's our secretary at One Pair States, his email. And then lastly, really just to keep this work going, we're an all volunteer organization. I did put the links in the chat for donating and or volunteering with One Pair States. There are a number of work groups that I'm sure will hit your sweet spot if you're not aware. We welcome people's volunteerism as well as contributions here at the end of the year. And before I forget, warm wishes to everyone and your families as we go through this holiday season. On the one hand, we've got to stay with our activism. On the other hand, we need to embrace each other. So we call it radical hospitality, radical hope, and radical love. That's the way forward. So let me go over to Steve Kemble, then Dave McClanahan, then Bill Semple. Steve?
Hi, yeah. I'm sort of representing PNHP here, and I want to say that I agree with everything that Jeff and Robbie said about the overall problem and the root of it being privatization. But I want to point out a couple of things that everyone may not be aware of. The problem with upcoding is a direct consequence of an attempt by CMS to improve the risk adjustment formula by tying diagnosis to payment. Before they did that in 2004, payment did not depend on diagnosis, and there was no opportunity to upcode. And the reason they did that is because they were paying capitated intermediaries, which is Medicare Advantage. And when you pay with capitation, you have a huge incentive to focus on the healthy and avoid the sick. And they were trying to correct for that with risk adjustment, which is why they tied diagnosis to payment. If you get rid of the privatization, all those opportunities for fraud and abuse go away. If the payer is Medicare and they're paying providers of care directly for care, there is no shifting of risk. There's no need for risk adjustment. There's no opportunity to upcode. All those things go away. And the second thing I wanted to say is that our analysis is that the profitability of both Medicare Advantage and ACOs and ACO-REACH depends entirely on gaming and fraud. There is no financial benefit to improving care. It's all upcoding, skimping on care, cherry picking and lemon dropping, and lobbying Congress to maintain overpayments. Their profitability depends entirely on those things. And that's why the strategy of going after fraud could kill the program, because if you get rid of fraud and get rid of the opportunities to game whatever you have, Medicare Advantage or ACO-REACH, their profitability goes away and the programs die.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Jeff, Robbie?
No, it's great to learn something from that. That's great.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I still believe that even if we could get rid of the upcoding, there's still, you know, both programs still take more dollars out of Medicare for profit and admin than through traditional Medicare, right? And so they
Absolutely.
unnecessarily drain money from the system. So I'd still rather, it's not that I don't want the fraudsters gone. I do, and I want them to, the way they create fraud gone. But we need to educate towards the public system. So.
Right. And our, our tactics and strategy may vary a little bit here, but let's stay together. Let's stay together regardless, of how we go about this. And being aware and understanding the other is really where it all starts. Self-awareness and other awareness. And that creates the cohesion and the solidarity that will lead to victory. Dave McClanahan. Dave? Muted. Still muted. Yeah, here you go.
PNHP National waffled a little bit around the original Jayapal Warren letter, but now it is definitely going to be on record as asking for immediate stopping of ACO-REACH in January. Second thing is there's this industry letter that goes out to all congressional representatives asking them to sign on, saying what a great thing Medicare Advantage is. That hasn't been mentioned tonight, or this morning, but that's something that we need to focus on also, to ask our representatives not to sign on to that Medicare Advantage promotion letter.
Thanks, Dave. Jeff, Robbie, good?
Yeah.
Just good information. Bill Semple. Bill, Colorado.
I just got a question about ACO-REACH. My understanding is that the ACOs in ACO-REACH don't have the narrow networks, that people still can go anywhere in traditional Medicare. And so I'm wondering, I'm sure they've figured out how to game the system, but doesn't that limit their ability to game the system and suck up the profits that is their fundamental intention?
I'll give you one quick example. I live on an island, and if they're telling me that I can go anywhere I want, it's like, well, fine. I've got to take a ferry for an hour and a half, and then I have to drive, and it's like I spend my whole day just getting to an appointment. And if I need ongoing care, financially I can afford it, but many can't.
They have CMS is attempting to restrict the ability of ACO-REACH plans to cherry pick and lemon drop and to upcode, but their measures to counteract those things are inadequate, and those things will both continue to go on. What they do is they have you come in for a wellness visit, then you get aligned or attributed to the ACO-REACH plan through your doctor, and that's how they gather healthy people, and they pressure your doctor to discourage quote unnecessary care, unquote, which means referrals to specialists, treatment that's expensive, et cetera, et cetera. So they don't directly block you with denial of a claim, but they block you by having your doctor not tell you about it or discourage you from seeking the care that you need.
So it increases the moral injury.
Yeah. And it's through the doctor. They do it by corrupting the doctor to serve corporate goals against patient interest.
Okay.
The other thing I wanted to say is PNHP never waffled on opposition to ACO-REACH. They said, we understand that Warren and Jayapal believe that going after fraudsters is a strategy that would kill the program, so we didn't want to interfere with that, but we never said ACO-REACH is okay. We have always wanted to kill ACO-REACH. That's always been our goal. And anyone who thinks that PNHP waffled is wrong.
Okay. Ann Jones. Hey, Ann. Unmute.
Yeah, real quick. Jeffrey, you suggested a national campaign with a kind of an overarching structure. Would PNHP, since they really have taken quite the lead on opposition and communicating with the public, would that be possible? And Stephen, you might know if they have the capacity. Is that something we could link to efficiently?
PNHP is focused on, let's Yeah, it's focused on trying to kill ACO-REACH right now. That's our big focus for the next few months. And they have a whole bunch of resources on their website. Medicare Disadvantage, you can go to the PHP website and put that in, and there's a whole bunch of resources you can get. We're in the same boat as all of us are, of trying to build more public awareness, trying to build, pressure on legislators by making this a widely understood issue, which is a tall order and difficult. And we're all looking for ways to do that. And again, we should be working together on that, but we all have a long ways to go.
Yeah, if I could, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, how can we get this is an amazing roadmap. I mean, we've done a little bit of education in Minnesota, but it's too little, way too compared to your efforts. What do you have in writing, or can we get on your new mailing list?
Yeah, we can. I'd be glad to send you stuff if Chuck can send me, or Mike can send me emails. I can send it to everyone. I can send you the template for the letters we sent, the resolutions, and stuff like that. Be glad to, as well as copies of the ads. But I do want to say, and I appreciate what Steve just said about PNHP and what they're working on, which I think is great. And like I say, there are a number of organizations that are taking different strategies and attacks. And as Chuck said, that's fine. But it would be nice if we could also come where we can work together. We could do that because I think would be so much more effective doing that. And I had a thought that I think just ran through my mind, and it'll probably come back after I hang up. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
You're good, Jeff. You're way ahead of me, brother. Let's see. Keep we're near the top of the hour, and we may spill beyond a little bit, but I do want to very quickly introduce you to somebody in the room, a young activist, Javier Anderson, who's doing a history on the single payer movement. I'm working with him, and just Javier, just bring yourself up on screen and just wave and drop your email address for people who are interested in potentially working on this project collaboratively. Javier, a really bright guy. He's a engineering student at Fordham, is going to go on to Columbia and so forth, but he's really whip smart and eager to get a lot of good information out there so that we can better understand who we are and where we've come from. Lynn Heidekoper.
Hi, real quick. I know an insurance agent who told me that every, open enrollment, she gets a Medicare Advantage patients who don't like it. So there are people out there probably when they have a big procedure. I'm heavily, as everybody is, inundated by emails, texts, and whatever, and ads pushing Medicare Advantage. And they have the big thing is these groceries where they can get $170 whatever worth of groceries, the ride to the doctor, dental hygiene, discount glasses. Can we add those to Medicare? Because they're very much liked by seniors, and so I can see why their enrollment keeps going up.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right, Lynn. We know from that study done in 2020 that even if you took the conservative estimate of $12 billion of fraud in Medicare Advantage, that would have paid for dental and vision for every individual over the age of 65 in the United States of America. So the answer to your question is a yes, if there is a political will, and that's why we added that as one of our goals. The money's all coming out of the same trust fund, and we ought to have the same benefits in traditional Medicare. It's a backdoor way into Medicare for all. I'd much rather go through the front door, but these politicians are slippery,
to say the least. Tom Gottlieb, real brief. Tom.
Yes, thank you, Jeffrey, for your presentation. You're really opening the door for some true solutions in relation to our problem with healthcare. The previous work that I have done was putting together a financial plan for converting traditional Medicare to Medicare for all. And it's a very feasible plan using current law. We believe that health finance drives equitable healthcare. And I think one of the selling points for politicians and business people is, well, who's going to pay for it? Which was a very common question that we got in our presentations. Well, here is a format, and I surely would love to interact with individuals who have already worked on this sort of a thing. We have a 42-page document that really demonstrates how it can be done. And for those who want to interact in relation to that, we can make that happen. So
Great,
thank
Tom.
you
Yeah,
for your
drop your,
presentation.
yeah, thanks. Drop your email and a reminder of what it is that you're offering. And we are a little past the top of the hour. I do want to repeat the asks, then I'll bring you up Bill Bronston. Just making sure that folks save the chat. There's a lot of very good information in there, including the action steps that Kay Tillow is pointing us to, the upcoming meeting for strategy on January 11th, 2023, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern. And then again, asking folks to support the work that we do here at One Pair States, because it really it's unconventional the way that we work at different aspects of a grand strategy that's aimed toward winning. We don't often talk about a winning strategy, but Ann's nodding her head. She's familiar with the work that we're doing in building strategy, and so admire the work that Jeff and others are doing with PSARA. So we're going to win this thing. We just have to stay at it. Just keep focused. Bill Bronston. Bill, real brief.
James Kahn just put an interesting note up referring to an article in the JAMA December 6th issue put out by Don Berwick called Medicare 2.0, A Vision for the Future of America's Health Insurance Plan. Very wonderful 2-page piece that I urge people to have a look at. It doesn't deal with the 100% of the population, but it's very good. Thank you. And then look at my ourhealth.pub, please, heavily.
All right. Thanks, Bill, for that.
Thank you.
Jeff, any final parting word here as we head into another period of our holiday season?
No, just that I am so impressed with the participants on this call, and there's so much I could learn from you all. So I don't know, Chuck, I am not technologically sophisticated. Can you send me the chat so that I can start weeding through what people have put up there? Because I've learned so much on this call already just from your answers in your questions. So thank you.
Yeah, Mike and I will get the chat out to everybody here, certainly, and our listserv. Let me just again wish folks, warm wishes over the holidays. Hold your loved ones close. We're in this for the long haul. We've been at this for a long time, and out of crisis comes opportunity, right? All great societies recognize that out of crisis comes opportunity, and I think that we're steering in the right direction. We're doing the right things, building strategy, staying together. And avoiding those circular firing squads. Let's take care of each other and intentionally listen to what the other's doing. We may have nuanced differences, but that's small potatoes compared to the larger objective that we have here. So with that, love to all. Again, radical hospitality, radical hope, radical love to all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, Barbara, your hand is up. I'm sorry.
Is there going to be another webinar later regarding Campaign for New York Health with what's his name? It's not Hasty, Rivera, with Gottfried? Is that supposed to be tonight because they shifted from Tuesday?
I don't know. Does anybody on the call know? I really don't.
That was 3 nights ago. The salute to Assemblyman Godfrey. That was 3 nights ago.
Okay, that's all right.
Maybe there's a recording you can grab. Well, there's Javier.
Okay, that's all right. I was working on the campaign, but I don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't find them a very enlightened bunch to work with.
Sorry about that, Laura.
So I've taken up
We'll fix
media
that.
literacy.
All right, it's all
Thank
good.
you, Javier. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Happy New Year, folks. Happy holidays. We'll catch you on the
Holidays.
other side. Thanks so much for all you do. Save the chat. Please help out how you can. Stay active. There's a lot to do. Share this information. You'll get the recording. Share the recording. There's so much content here, but we can unpack this and make sense of it and win this campaign. So thank you again, everybody.
You're going to send the chat to all of us, right?
We'll do that as well.
How do
Okay.
you save the chat? Oh, well,
It's
okay, you're
very
sending-
easy. It's very easy. Do you see where the person's name is at the bottom, who you would send an email? There are 3 dots.
Yeah.
You click on that and it says save chat. Click on that and it'll come up probably on your desktop and you could then label it the way you want.
Not if you're using a Chromebook.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll send it out to you. We'll send it out.
Don't worry, don't worry.
Chuck, you got to talk about Cuba. About your trip to Cuba. When?
Not today.
Thank you, Barbara. Anyway, but yeah, send it out to me. Judith Langan or Sue Langan.
Chuck, when are you going to talk about Cuba?
We'll roll into January with that one, Bill.
Good, good.
We have lots to say. They started with 12 men and 7 guns. Took them 2 years. So that's where we are. 2 years. We'll have
Good.
Medicare for all.
The revolution, 1956 to 59, right?
59.
Is that the first time you've been there?
Me personally, yes. I've been to
Amazing.
Nicaragua, Costa Rica, other parts of Latin America, but yeah, the people are amazing. The people are
cry?
just so deep. I mean, talk about radical hospitality. It almost brought me to tears.
Yes, exactly.
There's also a very good film called The Power of Community. It's about 88 minutes. It was made probably in the early 2000s when the Soviet Union fell apart and how they went about using permaculture to move agriculture forward. It's, worth
Miraculous,
watching.
miraculous democracy.
Yeah. Mike, you can stop the recording. We're happy to hang around a few more minutes if people want to talk. That's fine. But you want to stop the recording?